The movie begins during the summer of 1992. Late one night, a small toy boat suddenly appears floating in a backyard swimming pool. The sound of the toy wakes up a young girl named Rebecca. She looks out of her bedroom window and notices the missing toy boat. She goes to her brother Thomas's room and tells him that she has found his boat. It is revealed that her brother is seriously ill and unable to leave his bed. Rebecca quietly walks outside and heads toward the pool. She grabs a skimmer net and tries to pull the toy boat out of the water, but it stays just out of her reach. Suddenly, an unseen force grabs her and drags her into the pool. As Rebecca struggles underwater, she looks up and sees what appears to be her mother standing beside the pool. Rebecca swims to the surface. There is no one there. Shaken, Rebecca decides to leave, but just then, the toy boat suddenly floats back to the surface. When she reaches for it one last time, the mysterious force drags her under again. She screams for help, but no one hears her, and she tragically drowns. The story jumps to the present day and where we meet the Waller family, parents Ray and Eve, and their kids, Izzy and Elliot. Ray is a retired professional baseball player who had to quit the sport because of a serious illness. He has trouble walking and relies on a crutch. While looking for a place to live with their real estate agent, Kay, Ray spots a large house that has just been put up for sale. Interested, the family decides to take a look. Agent Kay explains that this house is for sale instead of being rented. She mentions that the house has had only one owner for the past several decades. Eve loves the house because it is spacious, cheap, and close to the school where she will be working. Outside, Ray looks over to a large, covered swimming pool, the exact same haunted pool where Rebecca mysteriously drowned years earlier. He notices a baseball resting on top of the pool cover and reaches out to get it, but he loses his balance and falls into the water. Ray gets tangled up in the heavy plastic cover and begins to sink. He has a sudden vision of himself making a grand comeback in professional baseball. Fortunately, manages to pull himself out of the water just as his worried family rushes over to help him. The next day, Ray visits the hospital for a routine checkup. After examining him, his therapist says that his illness is getting worse and recommends more advanced treatment. It is revealed that Ray is suffering from a neurological disorder that slowly affects his body's movement and speech, making everyday tasks more difficult over time. The therapist suggests that Ray start doing gentle exercises, especially swimming, because it can help improve his muscle memory and mobility. The news leaves Eve heartbroken as Ray still shows no signs of recovery. Later, the couple talks about buying the new house. Ray believes it is the perfect place for their family, and having a swimming pool in the backyard will allow him to continue his water therapy at home. Although Eve is worried about buying a house instead of renting one, she decides to go along with the plan for the sake of their family. Soon afterward, the Wallers move into their new home along with their pet cat, Cider. Later, Eve takes Izzy and Elliot to their new school, where she will also be working. Even though it is her first day, Izzy quickly makes friends with a popular boy named Ronan and immediately develops a crush on him. That evening, the family works together to clean out the empty pool. Ray reaches his hand into the bottom drain to unclog it, but something suddenly slashes his hand. The family is shocked when a strange black liquid begins flowing out of the hole. Later, a pool maintenance worker arrives and explains that the black liquid is actually water from a natural underground wellness spring. He mentions that the water does wonders for the skin and that the area used to be full of natural spring pools. Ray is thrilled, believing this special water will be the perfect therapy for his illness. Once the pool is filled, the family jumps right in to enjoy it. Eve playfully tosses coins for the kids to dive to the bottom to collect them, and Ray is overjoyed because the water takes the strain off his muscles. That night, Eve takes a solo dip in the pool. While swimming, she spots Ray standing outside by the edge, but when she looks again, he has mysteriously disappeared. Moments later, the pool lights begin flickering on and off. Frightened, Eve quickly gets out of the water. She goes back inside the house and discovers that everyone is asleep. When Ray wakes up, she asks if he had been outside by the pool, but he says he never left the house. Later that night, their pet cat, Cider, hangs out by the pool. The same toy boat pops up and begins moving across the water on its own. By morning, Cider has vanished, and the only thing left behind is her collar floating in the pool. Meanwhile, Ray takes the bandage off his injured hand. To his utter shock, the deep cut has completely healed overnight without leaving a single scar. Despite this strange miracle, the family decides to cover the pool up to keep everyone safe. That night, Eve wakes up to find Ray missing from bed. She looks out the window and is shocked to see him swimming in the pool perfectly, despite his illness. The next morning at the hospital, the therapist reveals that Ray's medical tests show an impossible improvement. Overjoyed, Ray credits his rapid recovery entirely to his back backyard water therapy. Later, Elliot wants to play the underwater coin fetch game, but Ray is too focused on his workout. He draws a smiley face on one of the coins and tells Elliot to swim alone. Elliot attaches the marked coin to one of his toys and jumps into the pool. As he swims underwater, someone suddenly starts throwing more coins into the pool. Thinking his father is playing with him, Elliot happily dives after the coins. After a while, Elliot thinks he sees someone standing outside the pool, but when he looks again, nobody is there. He then hears movement above the diving board, yet it is completely empty. Suddenly, Elliot hears a little girl's voice calling out for help from inside one of the pool filters. She says her name is Rebecca and that she is looking for her mom. She then hands Elliot his toy from inside the drain. When Elliot reaches out to take it, suddenly a hand grabs Elliot. Terrified, Elliot swims out of the water and tells his mother about a girl named Rebecca in the pool who was asking for her mother. However, when Eve looks around the pool, it is completely empty. Later, Ray is told about Elliot's strange experience in the pool. However, Ray dismisses it and believes it was just the boy's imagination, since Elliot does not really have any friends to play with. To improve the family's mood, Ray announces that they will host a pool party on the weekend and invite neighbors and friends. The next day, the family goes to Elliot's baseball practice. Elliot is nervous about batting because of his dad's famous legacy, but with his family's encouragement, he manages to hit a solid strike. The coach then invites Ray up to the plate. On his first try, Ray misses completely, and on his second, he loses his balance and takes an embarrassing fall. But on his third attempt, Ray visualizes the backyard swimming pool. Suddenly, time seems to slow down for him. He swings and hits the baseball so violently that the ball cracks, flying all the way into the field's floodlights. The crowd and his family are left in absolute shock before bursting into applause at his impossible strength. That night, Ray and Eve go out to dinner to celebrate Ray's recovering health. With the parents gone, Izzy invites her crush, Ronan, over to hang out in the swimming pool. They decide to play a game of Marco Polo where one person closes their eyes and tries to find the other using only the sounds Marco and Polo. When it is Izzy's turn to search, wanting to play a prank, Ronan quietly climbs out of the water, leaving her entirely alone in the pool. Suddenly, the pool lights begin to flicker wildly, and Izzy hears a creepy voice whispering Polo all around her. An unseen entity circles her in the water. Thinking it is just Ronan messing with her, Izzy dives underwater to look for him, but the pool mysteriously becomes bottomless. Suddenly, a mysterious force grabs her leg. Izzy frantically fights back, spots a small opening of light at the surface, and manages to break free and swim to the top. Ronan helps pull her out of the water, but she is shocked when he tells her that she was completely alone the entire time. Before they can talk any further, Ray and Eve return home. Panicking, Ronan quickly runs away, leaving Izzy confused and shaken. The next day, Elliot confronts his sister E, telling her he knows she saw something terrifying in the pool the night before. However, Izzy lies and tells him she didn't see anything at all. She hides it from her family so she doesn't ruin her father's happy medical recovery. Soon after, the Wallers host their big backyard pool party. Inside the kitchen, Eve corners their realtor, Kay, and demands to know why the pool sat empty for so long. Kay reluctantly confesses that a little girl tragically drowned in the pool decades ago. When Eve correctly guesses that the dead girl's name was Rebecca, Kay is left completely stunned. Outside, Elliot's coach's young son approaches Ray and asks for his autograph. Ray happily signs it and then asks if the boy wants to have some fun in the pool. The boy agrees, and Ray carries him on his shoulders as they join a team game in the water. As the game gets more intense, Ray and the boy work together and win the game. But suddenly, the strange black liquid flows out of the drain and enters Ray's mouth, causing a dark entity to possess him. Controlled by the spirit, Ray tightly grips the little boy's legs and drags him underwater toward the deep end. The boy gasps for help, but his cries are drowned out by the loud party music. Luckily, the coach spots his son struggling, dives into the water, and rescues him. The horrified coach finds deep, violent handprints bruised onto his son's thighs, showing how tightly Ray had been holding him. Ray also survives the incident. The party ends in a panic as the police arrive to investigate. Eve apologizes to the boy's parents and explains that Ray suffers from a neurological illness and believes his condition caused the incident. Although the coach decides not to press charges, he warns Ray to stay away from his son in the future. After everything that happened, Eve gathers the kids into the car and says she no longer wants to live in the house. She is convinced that something is terribly wrong with the swimming pool. However, Ray completely dismisses her fears and refuses to believe anything is wrong with the water. Because Eve is so desperate to leave, Ray finally agrees, but as they try to drive away, Ray suddenly begins to choke. His veins swell up and he violently vomits a thick black liquid. It becomes clear that whatever is inside the pool is not letting Ray leave. With no other choice, the family returns to the house. While resting in the house, Ray becomes obsessed and repeatedly demands to get back into the swimming pool. Terrified by his strange behavior and believing the pool is controlling him, she rushes outside outside and drains all the water from the pool. The next day, Eve researches the house online and discovers a horrifying truth. Rebecca wasn't the only victim. Multiple people have drowned in that pool over the years. Desperate for answers, Eve tracks down Rebecca's mother, Lucy. Lucy welcomes Eve inside and proudly tells about how successful and healthy her son Thomas is today. However, when Eve asks about the pool and Rebecca, Lucy begins to cough violently, and black tears stream down her face, showing she is under the entity's control. Lucy reveals that the pool sits on an ancient, magical healing spring that grants a person's deepest desires, but it demands a life sacrifice in return. Decades ago, Thomas was dying of an illness, so the pool cured him, but it required Rebecca's life as payment. In a flashback, a young Thomas tries to save his drowning sister, but a possessed Lucy locks him in his bedroom to let Rebecca die. Lucy tells Eve not to fight it, explaining that since Ray is the one being cured, the pool will inevitably take one of their children as a sacrifice. Horrified, Eve begs Lucy for a way to stop the curse. Instead of helping, Lucy vomits more black liquid as the surrounding water fountains turn black. Terrified by what she sees, Eve flees the house. Back at the house, Ray is taking a bath when the evil entity suddenly takes control of his body. Meanwhile, the drained pool starts to fill back up with water. That night, Elliot hears his cat, Cider, meowing from the swimming pool. He goes outside to find her, and Elliot spots Cider on an inflatable float and reaches out to grab her. But in the next moment, the cat is gone, and a mysterious entity suddenly pulls Elliot underwater. At the same time, the automatic pool cover begins closing on its own, trapping him inside. Izzy sees what is happening and runs outside to save her brother. Eve also arrives just in time. She tells Izzy to go inside and call for help while she dives into the pool to rescue Elliot. As Eve reaches the bottom of the pool, she discovers a hidden hole that leads to an endless underwater abyss. Meanwhile, Izzy rushes into the house to call 911, but the possessed Ray corners her, smashes her phone, and violently drags her through the house by her hair. Izzy barely manages to break free and run for her life, but Ray continues chasing her. Deep beneath the pool, Eve finds an unconscious Elliot. Suddenly, ghost-like entities of past victims surround her, trying to trap them. Eve fights past them, but gets lost in the dark underwater. Just then, the ghost of Rebecca appears. Rebecca tosses the smiley face coin Ray had marked earlier, and it points the way back to the swimming pool, showing Eve the path to escape. They finally reach the surface. Eve quickly pulls Elliot out of the water and begins performing CPR as he lies unconscious. Moments later, Ray walks up behind Eve and grabs her by the throat and lifts her into the air. Just before he can kill her, Izzy rushes in and hits him from behind with his own baseball bat. Izzy begs her father to come back. Ray begins seeing memories of the happy moments he shared with his family. The memories break the entity's control over him, and he vomits the black liquid before returning to his normal self. At the same time, Elliot regains consciousness. However, as the family tries to leave the property, Elliot's veins suddenly begin to swell. It becomes clear that the evil pool will not let him leave. Realizing that the pool still demands a sacrifice, Ray makes the ultimate decision. He quietly walks into the swimming pool and keeps going until the water completely swallows him. His family watches in horror, unable to stop him. As soon as Ray disappears beneath the water, Elliot vomits the same black liquid and is finally freed from the curse. After everything is over, the family permanently fills the entire swimming pool with sand. They decide to stay in the house because they know that if they leave, another family will eventually move in, and the deadly cycle will begin all over again, and the movie ends. And that wraps up Night Swim. If you enjoyed this recap, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and hit the bell for more chilling movie stories. Until next time, stay curious and stay safe.